Take it there, who gon' take it there, who gon' take it there, who gon' take it there? Electricity, 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 electricity. You know what's in the air, you know what's in the air, you know what's in the air, you know what's in the air. It's possibility, it's possibility, it's possibility, it's possibility.
So we got to talk about this podcast where Schulz and Theo are talking about Tesla, and they're talking about the Trump administration, and they're talking about all this horrible stuff that's going on with Tesla and these terrible things that these people are doing to Teslas. It's so fucked up. And some people out there might have seen this already, but I wanted to cover it because this stuff that's going on with Tesla is probably the most relevant thing that's happening in terms of resistance. It's the most effective thing that's happening in terms of resistance. And let's follow this all the way through. So the guy who helped get Trump elected, probably the single most instrumental rich person in financing Trump's campaign, Elon Musk, and also the most singular voice where, you know, Elon Musk is doing whatever he wants with his money. He's putting it towards Trump in exchange for Trump giving him this power in the government, all on his own. He wants, you know, Elon Musk is the perfect example of somebody who wants as much executive power as possible. And that is exactly what we're seeing in Trump's new administration. That was always the angle with Trump's administration since the first one. The unitary executive theory, the theory of like robust and essentially unilateral power of the executive branch, has always been what the Trump administration has wanted to bank on in terms of allowing them to not only get away with numerous crimes, but wield power in whatever way they want. And Elon Musk is the perfect example of how one builds their way to that position, because he used the wealth that he built from Tesla, a popular form of car that was used to kind of, for at least for a time, corner the electric car market, something that was very popular. It was a futuristic idea, something that people could get behind, and also some of the top earners in the world were convinced that these vehicles were a status symbol. So eventually Tesla becomes a brand with an enormous amount of money in it. And so that money that Elon Musk earned through Tesla, as well as other, you know, vulture type of ventures in capitalism, he is able to use that power and wealth to essentially buy the presidency. And then not only that, but threaten any other politician who might go against Trump with primaries and stuff like that. This guy essentially just seems to have infinite money to throw around. And there are other companies that he has, like SpaceX, that gets a bunch of government contracts. All of his companies get government contracts at this point. I think the military is going to be commissioning a bunch of cyber trucks, which is probably a terrible idea. But still, Tesla is the core of his financial standing at the moment. It might not be where most of his money is tied up, but it is the core of his businesses, I would say. In other words, if Tesla unravels for Elon Musk, it would probably be the first step in his other business ventures unraveling. And it's certainly the core of how he built his wealth. Some people have pointed out that because of the fossil fuel future that Donald Trump and his administration want to move towards, it's possible that Elon Musk is moving away from the idea of his fortune being entirely tied up in Tesla. And, you know, I think he thinks of things like SpaceX as more of, you know, where his like future is financially. However, Tesla as a company is pretty much one of the singular points of power that upholds the Trump administration and the oligarchic way that it has organized itself. That's important to understand because we can separate Tesla from Donald Trump and we could separate it from Elon Musk if we want to, but why would we do that when Tesla as a company was instrumental in building the reputation and the fortune of the person who then spent much of that wealth getting Trump elected and buying his way into power? So by attacking that company, what people are doing is undermining the wealth and the value of that company itself, but certainly the value of Elon Musk's participation and association with that company. And we should be very clear here, very, very clear. This is entirely Elon's fault, 100%. He did this to himself. This guy is richer than anybody could ever want to be, richer than he could ever spend his money on in his entire lifetime. He's got 8 kids. They're all probably going to get screwed out of his wealth because he's going to spend it on like space submarines or whatever. And so this guy literally never has to do anything another day in his life. And what he wants to do is try to redesign society for all of us by investing absurd amounts of money in a candidate, which is a practice that he has criticized in the past on the part of people like George Soros. So he buys his way into unlimited power, and now he wants to exercise that power as well as doing Sieg Heils on, the platform of the inauguration, the presidential inauguration with the world watching. Elon Musk does a straight up Sieg Heil, and then even if the narrative is supposed to be that he didn't mean to do it, he never apologized. He never said that he didn't mean to do it. He never did. And no one has ever cornered him on that. So to sit there and wonder why are people going after this company is so dishonest, so ridiculous. And honestly, like if you're asking yourself that, if you're thinking that way, you really got to ask yourself, like, how did I get to a point where I think attacking the wealth of a billionaire who is throwing up Nazi Sieg Heils is a bad thing? That's nuts. So let's listen to these two hack comedians, both of whom I have talked about before, talk about how they think it is wrong and mean and bad to go after Teslas.
So,
For real.
So this is like a kind of shitty situation where, like, yes, I understand that he's antagonizing people. He's like rubbing people the wrong way. You don't like the guy. You don't like the beliefs. You don't like what he's doing. And there are things to criticize. I'm not saying there aren't things to criticize. Like nobody's above criticism. But to punish that car company that is 100% made in America, made by people living in America, Americans rely on those jobs. Like, maybe we criticize another thing.
Right.
Like, what is your goal? That we shut down those factories and those Americans lose those jobs? That makes you feel better about your gripe with Elon?
That's the thing. Some people, they just want to win an argument, it feels like,
And they don't realize there's people that rely on those fucking jobs.
So here you have Andrew Schulz, mainly. Theo Von's there. He's kind of nodding along. I'll give him the credit of saying that he's not really the one who is advancing this argument, although Theo Von bounces back and forth on the spectrum all the time. And I think the main direction that he's biased here is towards this kind of sympathy for Elon Musk. Well, I mean, he's just trying to do good for the country, man. And you got to be pretty dumb to believe that, at least if without believing explicitly what Elon Musk believes. And I think when it comes to Theo Von, his political opinions have, aired pretty far on the side of like anti-immigrant policy. I think he's pretty much fine with mass deportation of immigrants. I think he's pretty much fine with the denigration of Ukraine in favor of Russia. So I don't think that Theo Von is like, fundamentally opposed to any of these things. I don't know that he's fully on board either. He has been kind of oscillating back and forth, or, at least having people on, like, going from Candace Owens to Hassan Piker at least shows that he's trying to think some of this stuff through a little bit, which I think Andrew said something about Hassan Piker in this interview as well. But I'm more so interested in this Tesla thing. And, I think really Andrew Schulz is the one who has been really on this kick about politics. He seems to want to get into politics, and he seems to be identifying that the more he talks about politics, the more people talk about him. And so he's just like going with all these horrible takes. And, I'll say that I wouldn't be talking about him except for the fact that, like, he has an enormous audience already, even before he really started going out there with these right-wing takes, although he's been doing it for a while. But, Andrew Schulz has been like really raising his profile for quite a while now. So when he says these things about politics, a lot of people hear it. When he talks about Social Security and gives credit to Tim Pool or to the debaters against Sam Cedar that, you know, maybe Social Security, I don't know. That's an interesting idea. It's an interesting idea. I never thought of it like that. You know, that's his prerogative at the moment. And so he is trying to apply empathy to Elon Musk here and say, well, I just don't understand. This is an American company. This is all American. You're really going to go after these Americans? Doesn't that hurt Americans' jobs? And I mean, that is just so fucking disingenuous, because just the other day, this guy was on with Megyn Kelly talking about how he likes Trump goose-stepping around, talking about how he is going to usurp Greenland and usurp Canada and all these tariffs. How do you think these tariffs are affecting workers in America and in Canada and around the world? All of a sudden, we're talking about empathy. You're talking about empathy towards the workers of Tesla, when Elon Musk is the one who has busted up unions to prevent them from a more equitable. What would be great, what would have prevented all of this, is if the workers at Tesla had more ownership and had a semblance of democracy, so that Elon Musk could be fucking ousted by now, so that they don't have to be represented by a fucking lunatic like that who's hurting the company. And even the board members of the company now want Elon Musk out because he's not providing any value. He has tarnished his very favorable brand as a public figure to the point where people now literally associate him with Hitler. So, I mean, I get that these guys are groypers and they think that like the culture has shifted enough that they can do Sieg Heils and nobody's gonna care. But if you think if you think you can do that on the biggest platform in the world and people aren't going to set your businesses on fire, it's probably a good thing for you to learn you were wrong to assume that. I mean, am I crazy? This is fucking America. We beat the Nazis. Only because we had to, frankly. But that was that was like one of the main points of pride of this nation for the last 100 years. And now all of a sudden we're letting Elon slide. This dude isn't even from America. And he's building his wealth off of these electric cars. Then he's turning around, contradicting everything that he was ever supposed to stand for, everything that people liked about him, which was progress and some kind of vision for the future. And now he's applying that to this sick, technocratic, anti-human bullshit. And we're not supposed to set his cars on fire? Fuck that.
I'm probably a little biased. I grew up loving Nirvana and Kurt Cobain, and Kurt Cobain very famously had a bumper sticker on one of his guitars that read, "Vandalism, as beautiful as a rock in a cop's face." And that's something I've always held dear to my heart, wholeheartedly agreed with. It is beautiful. Vandalism as an act of rebellion, as an act of protest, civil disobedience, a way to send a message, is beautiful. It's a really beautiful thing. Terrorist is a term this administration loves to throw around. According to White House Press Secretary Miss Caroline Leavitt, everyone who comes into this country illegally is a terrorist. I mean, honestly, that woman is 27 years old. She's the youngest White House press secretary ever. And her husband is a 59-year-old sugar daddy. And I would wager to say that every time they make love, that's an act of terrorism. But that's neither here nor there. I will say, yes, these acts against Tesla are terroristic. They are violent. But nobody's getting hurt. That's something they love to talk about. The left as so violent and ready to, burn the whole town down every time they're angry. I mean, goddamn should, people aren't burning enough things down, aren't getting angry enough. People always try and act so blown away. Oh, I can't believe this. They're tearing up their own town. Yes, that is exactly how mad you make people. And fucking with people's money is the only thing that gets a response from these damn people. It's the only way to get their attention. And I will say it is the most American thing you can do. This country was founded on acts of terrorism. You ever heard of the Boston Tea Party? I mean, that's what we do. It's fundamentally American. And in a capitalist society, you vote with your dollars. Well, protesting and destroying property is the ultimate form of that. I mean, some things may go too far sometimes, but as a rule, destroying these things, sending that message by burning down a Tesla factory is exactly the kind of thing that will get their attention, is the only thing they will care about and respond to. And they want to act so surprised. You threw up Zig Heils, man, and you are Tesla. You've associated yourself with that. He's done this to himself and Tesla. You're absolutely right about that. He is 100% to blame. He inserts himself in these companies. He doesn't really found them, and he gets the board to a point where they don't want him around anymore because he's embarrassing, or in this case, a fucking Nazi. That's beyond embarrassing. But he was pushed out of PayPal because of dumb shit he would do publicly, and he's just amped it up to 11. He's pulled a Kanye where he just keeps dialing his crazy up. You cannot Zig Heil in this country and not be so. People want to act like that kind of stuff's okay, or we should, respect everyone's different beliefs or opinions, even if they're horrible like that. No, there's a line with that stuff. You should respect people's opinions for the most part, but when it comes to bigotry and hate, no. Fuck that. And standing up, being angry, actually sending a message like that is the only thing that works. And it's being proven right now. How much are they talking about this? Where is Tesla's stock? What does the board want to do to Elon? That's what happens. That's what you get when you're a fucking Nazi. You can try and make excuses for him or do whatever you want, but at the end of the day, that was a very, very clear Zig Heil, and people saw it. And you're right, he has not apologized. He's come out now and said he didn't do it, but laughing it off, acting like it's so ridiculous. No, you fucking did it. And once again, what I always say, if you really want to send a message that you're not a Nazi or not have that Nazi stank on you, one, don't do a fucking Zig Heil. Don't go talking to the German right-wing parties in favor, of their beliefs. Don't say any of the insanely Nazi-esque fascist things you've said and done. Like, you could do that, but you could simply end it all by stepping out and denouncing white supremacy, denouncing Nazis, but you don't do it because you are a fucking Nazi, and when you're a Nazi, you get what you fucking deserve. And I am very, very proud of the left for standing up and actually showing them that. That's something that the left needs more of. That's something we don't do enough. Nazi beliefs will not be tolerated in this country, and that is a message that needs to be sent out loud and clear, and I will always, always stand behind.
Hell yeah, totally agree. Definitely think this is the most effective form of resistance that's happening right now by far, and that's exactly why they're going after it. That's why they are labeling them as terrorists, which, interestingly enough, is kind of the label that gets applied to any form of effective resistance, if you think about it. So, I don't know. There's something to that. That's a conversation for a different day. But the last thing I want to highlight here is that these guys know this. They know that there is nothing un-American about property damage. They know that they would support these tactics if it was the guy or the cause that they are behind. And the only reason that they are saying this, and they're saying, well, wait a second, guys, let's think about this, is because it's their guy. And they support what Elon Musk is doing and what Trump is doing. And, I think what this really comes down to is momentum. Like, the thing the thing that's causing them to take this angle on destroying anybody, whether it's, these guys or somebody who's on the, Pierce Morgan side of the spectrum or whatever. The only thing that causes them to say this is unequivocally wrong is the fact that the momentum going in the direction they want things to go in is being slowed by this. They recognize that momentum and leverage is being gained the more effective these tactics are, and it's slowing up the agenda that they support and want to see get done. And so that causes them to say, well, hold your horses. Is this right, folks? When they know that when there are abuses of the law, abuses of human beings, these guys would not speak up in defense of the people who are being deported unjustly with no due process. They're not speaking up against them going after free speech on college campuses, even though these are supposed to be our free speech bastions, the brave, voices of free speech in America. But, going after Tesla, going after the richest guy in the world and some of the richest car owners in the world. Not everybody who owns a Tesla is rich. That is important to distinctify. Some of the less recent models are available to less wealthy consumers. So that's important to keep in mind for people out there. But by and large, this is one of the wealthiest companies in the world, and pretty much, especially if you're going after dealerships, the person who suffers because of that is the company and people like Elon Musk and the wealthy operators of that company. And the only reason these guys are sheepish about going after that is because, just like every capitalist who finds themselves facing real resistance from labor and the working class, they're realizing that, this could send the momentum in the other direction. The momentum isn't really going in my direction at this moment. These tactics are actually kind of changing the vibe a little bit. That's kind of scary. Maybe I should speak out about this. It's pure just capitalism defending itself, and that's why these guys should be utterly discredited and disregarded. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and if you really want to support, consider becoming a member. That's the best way to support this channel. I'm posting all kinds of cool content there, like beats, exclusive podcasts, movie reviews, book reviews. If you like the beats that play in the back of these podcasts, all of that's going to be posted there, and more. If you have ideas for stuff that you would like to see as exclusive content, let me know, and we'll figure some things out.